this is a sensible measure and one which we really should be taking, but I will take advice from members of the committee. If anyone has any comments on that, please speak now. Yes.
Can I just say that seeing that we've all turned up, I would advise that we have the meeting. I've just dashed in from work, so we're all sat socially distanced, so I just think, but that's my opinion.
Councillor Rotten?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I would support your initial recommendation. I've just come out of a virtual meeting of the Corporate Members Group where we went in planning to get back into the council chamber for the full council meeting in January, and we went away with those plans not only completely in tatters, but thinking we probably couldn't hold an in-person full council meeting at all anywhere because of concerns over the Omicron variant. The public health advice we got was really pretty stark. And the steer from that group is not to hold any committee meetings that aren't making decisions at all in person. We can hold them virtually, obviously, because they're not making decisions. And those that are making decisions, well, we've got a problem. The authority's got a problem. So they're not cancelled for now, but we're going to try and find ways not to have to hold them or not to hold them in person with greater delegation or whatever it is. So that is the steer. That's going to be applied to, I mean, because it hasn't just happened, it hasn't reached us and this committee, but that's going to be applied to certainly the other transition committees, governance committee, anything that is not decision making, certainly for the rest of the year. So I think in that spirit, based on, you know, if we accept on face value the advice that was given and that was agreed by all party leaders at the CMG early this afternoon, I think in spirit of that we would not hold this meeting and we would move online.
Thank you, Councillor Rotten. That is exactly the advice I've had as well, and reading the advice that was given from CMG, I would certainly like to feel that we could follow that advice very, very quickly. Councillor Sanger?
Yes, Chair. I don't think we've got a lot of choice in the matter. I'm deeply frustrated that the government hasn't allowed us to have hybrid meetings, and that to me is really frustrating. It's this, you know, the public advice and the public health advice, and I guess it's going to be like this until either end of January or, you know, mid-February at the earliest. So all of us have got meetings planned in January, and of course part of the meeting planned is, you know, what were we trying to do in that time? We were trying to understand how committees were going to work post-May. We were setting up, you know, these working groups. We've got reports today. I'm not sure if I've had these papers 7 days, so I'm a bit concerned about, you know, I think there's some really important things we were going to talk about today, and I'm really disappointed not to have a chance to go through these, but also to say, next year when we're taking decisions in committees, these papers are not the right thing. So I do want this meeting, but I don't, you know, I hear what Karen's saying. I've just run around. So I've been at virtual meetings all morning. I've run into this one for a real meeting when it could have been virtual. But I think the advice is very clear from public health team in Sheffield that we've got to cancel. We've got to adjourn this meeting and reconvene online as soon as possible. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Thornton, did you have your hand up?
Thank you, there we go. As much as I sympathise with Councillor McGarren, I know that we've all been running around today trying to make sure that we get here. I think that the advice is quite clear, and I would support moving this online so long as we can make sure that we get a date for that in the diary as soon as possible, really.
Thank you. Councillor Curran?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it would be helpful if we were actually given a copy of this advice, because no one's actually given me anything at this point. But we're taking the temperature of the room. It sounds like we're going to adjourn. I think the point I would want to make, and the reason I'm happy to accept that, is that this meeting is largely inconsequential anyway. What we're getting is 2 briefings, rather than having an actual meeting that's going to make a decision or advance any cause that we're here to discuss. And I think that's the bigger worry for me, is we've had officers not concerned enough to give us papers in advance. We have, again, if we're moving into this new world of committees, this type of meeting has no place post-May whatsoever. And we need to get our heads around that. Why don't we just email this to councillors and say, here's a briefing on this. If you've got any questions, take it up with the officers and get things on our agendas that actually matter, that we can influence and make decisions with. Because all this is just an officer telling us the state of play at the moment. Nothing that we can shape, nothing that we can challenge, nothing that we can advance the cause for our constituents on. So the reason I'm happy to accept the postponement is really that this meeting was largely pointless for my ability to influence or shape anything.
Thank you, Councillor Curran. I take that on board. So, are we going to take a vote, or are we just going to agree with that? I certainly sympathise. You've raced from work, Councillor McGowan and Councillor Thornton. I too have, had to make certain arrangements to be in the town hall when really I needed to be elsewhere. So, I think really we have to take this advice. It was only, around 3 o'clock-ish that we heard this, so it's only half an hour ago. It would not have been possible to get you the information earlier. So, unless... No, I think I'm going to close this meeting now. I think straight away, close it now. We will arrange for a replacement meeting online, and can we have make sure that the presentations are online as well. And I'll consult with my officers to see where we go from here, taking on board what Councillor Curran has just said. Okay. Thank you for your attendance. I'm really disappointed that we can't go ahead today.